over to the cloud. Great. All right, let's begin. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Jenna. I am one of the co-founders of Basecamp. You've probably seen me around the internet in some capacity before. And this is our first expert sessions. It's with Sholeh. You signed up for it, so you probably know that already. You also probably know what she does, but I'm going to let Sholeh introduce herself and just give you like an overview of who she is. And Sholeh, you can honestly take that wherever you'd like.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Jenna. Thanks everyone for being here. My name is Sholeh Mirzai. I am the senior director over bags at YETI. And I come from a long history of working in bags and the outdoor industry in general. I've been in product my whole career, mostly in product management, merchandising, category management, things like that. But I've touched many other parts of the business as well. And right now, I am currently managing our design team, development team, color team, and product management team. So I have a pretty broad overview of kind of a lot of the parts that go into creating product.
I learned what a product manager does when I talked to you like the other week, and I didn't know that. And now everyone that I know that I'm like, oh, you have every skill known to man, like they're analytical and they're people. I'm like, oh, you should be doing maybe this job. So
Yeah. I
that
didn't know what product management was until I was a product manager. I was
there
like,
you go.
oh, this is the dream job that I always thought I wanted to do, but no one ever told me that that is the name of it. So you're not alone.
Okay, good. And I mean, it's kind of my job to know this stuff, but hey, here we are. Um, okay, so I've put a spotlight on you, but I'm going to remove it for a second because I'm not exactly sure the right way to do this. Everyone, obviously, you don't have to be on camera, but if you are on camera, it feels less weird. So I would encourage everyone, if you can, to show your faces because we're here kind of to network as well.
I
Again,
like seeing your faces too. It helps me to see who I'm talking to and all of
yeah.
that. So
And this is a very, I'm going to say casual, just like opportunity to ask Sholeh questions. You can also ask me questions if you feel like it, but I think Sholeh should be definitely the star here. And the way we're going to do it is if you have one, please just go ahead and throw it into the chat. And then I can kind of call you up and just say, hey, please ask your question, and we'll go from there. And I will get it started off because many of you gave questions while you signed up for the registration. And one of them that I loved was, Sholeh, what has your favorite project been? Like, what's the favorite thing that you've designed?
yeah, I love that question. I mean, I love product. I really love like deep consumer insights and research and all of that kind of stuff. So probably a couple of my favorite ones. When I was at North Face, we revamped our entire women's backpack line, which was really cool because we got to do a ton of consumer insights, both from like the physiology aspect of, different body types, different torso lengths, different shapes of bodies, but also just like what are people carrying, what are our current bags not servicing in the market. So that one just like really scratched my itch of that deep consumer insights. Another really fun one was when I was at Under Armour. We actually worked on their first training hijab. And again, like a very cool deep consumer insights project. I'm my family is Muslim, but I'm not Muslim. I don't live in a country where I would regularly wear a headscarf, or most people I know would regularly wear a headscarf. And so we worked really closely with our Middle East team. They raised this up as a need for their consumers. They were like, "Hey, we outfit all athletes, and we are missing this core item that would allow for women to work out in these areas where they have to wear a head covering or choose to wear a head covering." And so, we had a ton of Zoom interviews with people. We learned all sorts of things, everything from like, we normally had put people's faces on packaging, but a lot of the regions we were making this product for, we weren't allowed to put faces on packaging for, various reasons. And so it was just like such a personally interesting project to work on, but also the ultimate goal of like being able to outfit female athletes all over the world in a way that's like, getting them out to be able to go run maybe their first marathon, or get them into the gym, or, get them maybe out of working out in just their home and working out in an area where they needed a head covering, was really, really cool. At the time, I think only Nike, from a large brand perspective, had a hijab. And so we also really wanted to make sure that we were focusing on like making a better version of. We didn't want to just me too make it, exactly how theirs was. So we did a lot of research on the fit, making sure it didn't slip back so that hair was exposed, making sure that it was comfortable. A lot of people wear their hair in like a bun in the back. So we wanted to make sure that there was extra space in the back in case people did wear it with a bun. So yeah, it was just a really cool combination of like consumer insights, bringing a product to market that didn't exist for us, and really helping people get out there and get after whatever pursuit they wanted to get after.
Okay, those all sound very cool. Thank you. We have a couple new people that just joined, so I'll let you all know that A, we love to see your faces if you're comfortable. B, if you have a question, just pop it in the chat and then I'll call you up to ask it. And then C, this is the space to ask questions. So if you're just here to listen, that's also totally fine. But if you're feeling like that feeling inside your body where you're getting like a little bit like hot or warm or anxious, like you're kind of ready to ask a question and it's kind of happening, but you're scared, that means you should be asking a question. So please be brave. This is also a space where we can, practice that sort of thing. And networking is really hard. It's a muscle. And every time that you do it, every time that you try to communicate your value or, do something that is not natural to you, you're growing that muscle. So I would
Yeah.
encourage you
And I'm not scary, and I will love to answer any
at
question.
all.
My first job, I was literally like Googling terms my first day, being like, I should know this, but I don't want to ask anyone. And I think one of my biggest growth throughout my career has been like not being afraid to ask questions, kind of putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Probably someone else in the room wants to ask the same question that you bring up. So, yeah, I encourage it.
Yeah, almost definitely. Until folks have their own questions, I had a really good one here. So if you are not in product management right now, you don't have product experience, what are the skills that you might have that you could upskill with to like get into it? I think this person is in project management, but they want
Mm,
to go to product. So do you see any like
yeah.
cross contamination for
Oh,
that's not a good word, but
totally. A lot of project management skills directly translate to product management. You're working with multiple departments, you're working on calendars and deadlines. Decisions that you make now will have downstream effect. So, you might make a decision to make a product better or redesign it, but it's going to delay the project launch. And so you need to be working through those calendars, those that risk analysis, that trade-off. So a ton of transferable skills. I would say from a upskilling perspective, um, hone in on maybe like the product type or the target consumer that you're really into, and like do deep market research on what that market is, who the competitors are, what their price points are, like know
how do
their
you
product
how do you
line.
do that? How do you do research like that? Do you have any tools that you use?
Yeah, I mean, obviously AI is going to be our like shortcut. If you literally go into
Yeah.
AI and you just are like, "Hey, give me a matrix of the top 5 women's running shirt brands, and what their number one seller is, what their price points are, who they're targeting," like it'll spit out something that's pretty interesting, at least to start with. Um, Going to stores, looking at people's websites. I can't overemphasize how important it is just to like, we call it like walking the market or getting into market. Like, go to stores, see, go to DSG or go to REI and like see all the different brands of running shirts, see what they're priced at, see what their marketing looks like, see what their technology of their material is. Being a product manager is as much knowing about the market as it is knowing about the products that you want to make, because you want to make sure there's a few things you might want to make sure of. You might want to make sure you're competitive, or you might want to make sure you're really standing out and you're not at all in the same realm as the consumer, but you need to know, or the competitor, you need to know where the competitor is at, so you can either stand out, you can have a new material, a new technology, new price point, maybe new distribution, a new store that you get into. So really getting out and knowing the competition, I think is kind of like one of the big things that like you probably wouldn't get as a project manager as a skill, but it's definitely something that will set you apart in the product management world.
Okay. Very cool. Corey.
Hey, yeah, so thanks for talking to us as well. I know you mentioned just recently that you weren't initially in product management, and then from one of your first jobs, whatever your first job was, um, you weren't quite sure how to navigate the role itself. What did you come from? And then what really got you, I suppose, where you were today, kind of through your career roles as it's taken you?
Yeah, good question. So I originally went to college for sociology. I loved it. I loved the subject. I loved learning about people, why they do things, what motivates us as a society. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that when I graduated. So I had always really loved sewing. My grandma was a sewer. I'd made like all my prom dresses in high school and things like that. So I went back to school for fashion design, and I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer. Um, Plot twist, I'm a terrible designer. I can't draw at all. I'm a very good sewer. I'm not really a good pattern maker. But I was like, hell bent that like I got a degree in design. I'm gonna go into design. So my first summer after I graduated, I called it the summer of rejection, because I just kept applying and I wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't getting any of these. I was applying for like associate design jobs, and I ended up applying for an office manager position at a small startup that made bags and wallets and things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get my foot in the door and then I'll figure it out from there. I'll wow them once I'm in the door. Um, and when I got there, I ended up we were a startup. I was the fifth person hired. So I did everything from like building the shelves in our warehouse, and I helped set up a sample room in the back. I helped launch our little tiny website. We ended up opening up some stores, so I helped figure out POS systems. But I worked really closely with our design and development team. And I kind of just fell into this role where I was like, okay, I'm kind of project managing. I'm kind of deciding what we're making. I'm making sure that it's priced the right way. So I was kind of doing all the things that a product manager did, but I just didn't know that that was an actual job. I was like, this is a hole that needs to be filled, but because our design team is busy making beautiful designs and our development team is busy getting them made by the factory. Um, and so I ended up starting to do this role, and I really loved it because I got to touch all parts of it without like putting pen to paper, which, like I said, I'm not very good at. And so then I was there for about 4 years. And I saw a job pop up at the North Face, and it was for a product manager over bags. And I was like, well, I work for a bag company, so I do have the bags experience. And all of the description in this job description like sounds like all the things that I just am already doing at this job. I just didn't have the title. I think my title was like design manager because I just was managing the designers, but I wasn't managing the design. Um, so I applied through their website and thought that my resume was going to go into just the ether of apply for this job on the website. I attached a cover letter, which I am a big fan of cover letters. Jenna and I have talked about this. And yeah, got an interview there. And then the rest was history. That's kind of how I got into the outdoor industry.
Corey, just quickly tell us what you do.
I am job hunting. So, Sholeh, we actually met, I think, at the last base camp with
Yeah,
YETI.
I know. I was like, you look so familiar.
Yeah. Did you come from Mystery Ranch, or was that one of your coworkers? I don't remember.
One of my
Oops.
coworkers. So
Okay.
we acquired Mystery Ranch at Yeti, and so we have quite a few of our coworkers now at Yeti came directly from Mystery Ranch.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
My background quickly, I work at REI, so I'm just a sales
awesome.
associate right now at REI. While I was in school, I've just graduated in December with an mechanical engineering degree
Mm,
for outdoor gear testing and design. And it's relatively loose and it's very Colorado. So
I
there's
love it.
some gear testing, like Chalet, if you're at the North Face testing like that in a lab, for
Yep,
material and product, and then some foundational knowledge of like product conceptualization and manufacturing and things like that. So I'm
awesome.
also in the hunt to try and figure out product management was something that was recommended to me in the last couple interviews that I did not get. And so now I'm trying to figure out how my background, which is not engineering by nature, fills in some knowledge, but it is difficult as we all feel, I'm sure.
Yes, it is. It's summer of rejection was my first summer out of school. But really fun fact. I have worked with and hired several product managers that came from the retail stores, whether they were our own retail stores, whether they were REI. I mean, talk about like understanding the consumer, understanding the competitive set, understanding what questions are coming from consumers that are walking in the front door. People that are working in retail are like frontline knowledge for all of that. And so actually recommend that to a lot of people that are trying to make a career transition. Great place to start. Also, you just meet a lot of people and the industry and things like that. And then from a mechanical engineering background, at YETI, we have several roles that are called like validation engineering, quality engineering, manufacturing engineering. So yeah, several roles, especially in like hard goods companies where there's like that direct transfer of skill.
Thank you. Okay, so Georgia Davis, we're gonna have you come up next and just tell us like a little bit of who you are as well before you ask your question.
Hi, yeah, I'm Georgia Davis. I work right now as a graphic designer and content manager, so more of the social media side of the world. My question was kind of touching on what you guys were talking about before, but how do you build the tenacity when working towards a career that will take you a while to get towards?
What a good question. Um, I think being really curious is always really important. And like it's hard to fake curiosity, right? So find something that you are actually really curious about. Learn all you can about it, both because it will make you better at your job or will head you in the right direction of where you want to go. But it's also going to make you more confident, right? If you feel like you're the expert in this, whether it's a niche thing or a pretty broad scope, it'll make you walk into a room and talk about it in a way that's very confident, and you'll know a lot about it, so you'll feel comfortable speaking about it to people. More you do that, it's very cyclical, right? You gain more of that confidence, but making sure that you keep that curiosity. I don't know everything there is to know about bags, and I've been doing this for a very long time, and so I'd say, yeah, like that is where I probably built up my tenacity. But that's a good question. I like the idea of tenacity and how do you build it? Because I mean, I was just having lunch with a friend and we were talking about her daughter and how she's really shy. And I was like, I was such a shy child. I was like afraid to like go up and order at McDonald's when I was a kid. And we were trying to like dig into like, when do I think that changed? And I'm still on an ever evolving path of like gaining confidence and gaining that tenacity. I think it just comes from repetition, doing it, failing, but and realizing it's not the end of the world, learning from those mistakes, failing forward. Yeah, it's a lifelong tenacity endeavor, I'd say.
Do some
Thank you. I
reject.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great question.
Okay, Sadie, whose name is super familiar from my email inbox lately. Let us know a little bit about who you are.
Oops, yeah. Hi. I'm Sadie. Most of my experience is in like the snowboard industry. I've worked for a couple brands. I currently work at a marketing agency, which is Jenna, how you recognize my name.
Yeah.
But I was kind of curious, in the rise of AI and an increasingly competitive space, I feel like, with access to tools more readily available for people to start their own brands and how have these like culture shifts kind of changed the way you and or Yeti have like approached product, both like in the way you create, the way you research, and yeah, just in general, I guess.
Yeah, really good question. Thanks, Sadie. I've been I've been trying to embrace AI, right? I don't want to become that like old person that's like, I don't know how to use this. So, and really where I'm leaning towards utilizing as a tool right now is just to like make my life easier and to make like tasks faster. So, talk about research, right? 3 years ago, 4 years ago, if I wanted to find out the price of every single women's running shirt out there, I'd have to think of all the brands I know, and I might not know all of them. And then I'd have to go on their website and I'd have to make a spreadsheet and I'd write down all their different price points and whether they're on sale and where they're selling, if they even say where they're selling. And then I'd have to go into the stores and see where they're selling. And now I can create like a really great jumping off point, starting with like something like AI. And then you obviously want to put your critical analysis on top of that and you want to like parse into it and think about it some more and dig into the data some more. But it's like, was all of that time spent like copying down a price point and writing it into a spreadsheet? a good use of my time? No, what I really wanted to do was get the information so that I could start using my human brain to think through it, come up with creative ideas, come up maybe with my white space of where I want to enter the market. And so that's been my like mindset shift to really be like, how can this be a tool to get me to what I am really good at faster instead of spending a lot of time? Because also we spend a lot of time on the things the worst at because it takes us longer. And so if we're able to get AI to do the things that we are the worst at, then it can get us more quickly to getting to do the things that we are really good at, that fuel our passions, that we are uniquely equipped to bring to ourselves, to bring to our companies, to bring to whatever we might be wanting to put our energy towards, instead of wasting time doing all the things that like we're not the best at, right? So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that is a very refreshing take on AI. Thank you for answering. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Georgia Freeland, you had a very similar question, I know, but I think that there was some nuance in yours that was a little bit different. Did you want to just introduce yourself and ask yours as well?
Yeah, sure. It was, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm in the middle of transport. So sorry if it's loud in the background. But yeah, I actually took my hand down because Sadie's question was quite similar. But you mentioned obviously AI is a strategy, but I think there's a kind of a point of tension when you're implementing AI in product strategy, especially with innovation, because AI is all about previous data and like all of
Yep.
the inputs of what's already been. And so I'm curious how you think about that balance at Yeti. When do you let AI surface what the market has already moving towards? And when do you have your trust and your instincts to get about getting ahead of the curve and using your own data and your own personal kind of feeling of where the market is going? Because I know, yeah, just would love to hear that.
Yeah, really good question. And I think you kind of answered it for yourself in that of like, I probably wouldn't ever use AI for innovation, right? I want to use AI to get me all of the information that I want to then sit with and be like, okay, where is there an opportunity? Where is the consumer? I like to scrub reviews of our products, competitors' products. And I like to scrub them because you can find out like what are the pain points that everyone keeps talking about. And you can scrub thousands of reviews and find the top like 3 pain points. And for me, that's the same information I would have got 10 years ago from sitting in a room with a focus group of 10 people. But now instead of me just being able to build a new innovation or tweak something in a product to make it better based off of 10 people's feedback, I can collate 1,000 people's feedbacks and be like, oh, this is really rising to the top. This is a real big pain point. What am I going to do about it? Right. And to your point, AI would probably spit out a solution that some competitor has. Maybe it's something we've already done. I think our unique ability in this is to be the creatives at that point, to come up with the solution, to test the solution, like make a prototype and test it. Is it going to work? Is it actually, did we just make a product that doesn't really solve a problem? And so again, like I would really lean into it to do some of that upfront kind of time consuming work so that I can more quickly get to the creativity, the innovation, the new ideas, getting physical product in my hand out to testers, things like that, rather than relying on it to give me any sort of new idea, because I don't know. I think that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, totally. And I skipped Jenna's first question. A little bit about me is I work at Warner Brothers, but in the client success side. And I feel like I'm at a company that is incredibly obsessed with AI and how to implement it. And with being such a behemoth of a company, a little bit less of the creativity and more so on the like the data and like just kind of that driving the innovation, which I think is creating a lot of stagnant or repetition. So it's interesting to hear what Yeti is doing to help really propel you guys in a forward direction and using the skills not to make ideas, but just to aid ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like bringing that to the table, right? If you're in a position at your company where you can say like, hey, I used AI to scrub all of these reviews and here's the top things that we found. Here are my ideas of how we can solve those, right? Like we're all, trying to learn this very quickly. It's changing by the day. And the things that like have really kind of brightened my eyes when I have learned them are things like, oh, there's this thing that'll just make your to-do list at the end of a meeting instead of having someone having to scribe the whole thing and then reading through it and saying like, oh, this is assigned to Jenna and this is assigned to Sholeh. Like it just does it for you. well, yeah, let it do that, because then we can all get to, hey, Jenna, you said you would follow up with a cool new idea for this product. Here's the due date. Let's get back together, rather than like, hey, AI, make the cool new idea, right? And for me, that's like, yeah, did I love ever taking notes and writing to-do lists? No. So I'm happy to farm that out to AI if it allows me more time to be creative, come up with those ideas, dig deeper into the data.
Also, let me just say, if somebody pitched me or if someone had an interview with me and they said, whether they use AI or not, I don't care. Some people don't want to.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
scrubbed all of these testimonials or comments or reviews, and here I grouped the top things that they said, and here's my ideas for going forward. That would blow my mind. Like
Yes.
that would get them an interview for me. So that's kind of like a power move, I would say.
100%.
I'll talk about research before you reach out or do your interview, whatever it is. This is what that means. And so your product management experience is like, I would love people to extrapolate that to almost anything that they're doing and use that great use of curiosity to apply it to a specific person or company and super stand out in your application. Alexander, who are you and what do you want to know?
Hey, thanks for taking the time for speaking tonight. I'm Alex. I have a background in CPG, brand and product management, and an MBA. And after a few years in that industry, I realized that it wasn't really aligned with my values. I wanted to be outdoors more. I left and traveled for a year and realized that I think my calling is the outdoor industry, just because I love being outside. And so I just started actually a retail job at REI this week. Go REI, woot woot.
Nice.
So super exciting. Just got home, so sorry I had my camera off until now. But yeah, so coming from CPG product management, which I know is quite different from outdoors, I'm just curious, kind of when we think about like company or in your organization, what the priorities are and how much time you spend on given, let's call it like tasks or priorities of the job. So everything from consumer insights to kind of like product development and supply and project management, P&L management, through more like um, deployment to sales, marketing, merchandising. And I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of things as well. What do you weight the most, and what would you say? How do those kind of break down in terms of how much time and priority you're giving to each? That's question number one. And just an additional question is in terms of your KPIs, would like when we think of financial KPIs, is it more top line, bottom line? Are are you looking at sustainability, brand equity? What are kind of the measures of success for you?
Yeah. I'll talk like pretty broadly in terms of it's been pretty similar in all of the roles that I've been in throughout the outdoor and sporting goods industries, from a product management point of view. For product managers, yes to all of the above that you just said. I don't think that there is a single one of those things that you focus on more. And that's kind of the most exciting parts for product management for me, is that within a day, I think Jenna might have asked me a while ago, like, well, what does your typical day look like? And it's like, poof, well, there is no typical day, but also it might be like 9 to 10, you're meeting with sales to see how, sales are doing of a new product you launch. And then 10 to 11, you might be sitting with development to look at a new prototype that came in from the factory. And then 11 to 12, you're meeting with finance to look at your budget for next year. And then 1 to 2, you're looking at photo shoots, the photos that just came back from a photo shoot with marketing and giving feedback on like, hey, that they didn't use that product correctly, or you need to wipe that logo off of a competitor brand in the background or something like that. Um, so you're doing a little bit of everything, and for the right brain, that is super exciting and engaging, because you never get bored. You're always having to both switch your brain of the topics, but also really like, how do each of those teams want to be talked to? How do they? What information do they want? How do they want to meet? Do they want to meet in person? Do they want to look at a spreadsheet? Do they want to see a deck? Do they want to see a physical product? So I also really like the human aspect of like, how do you shift and cater your approach to each of those different styles, different departments, different needs. So I think that's your first question. And then the second one was about KPIs. Again, like I think that product is really in charge of a lot of different KPIs. You're in charge of revenue targets. You're also in charge of margin to make sure that your product, you could sell a great product. And if you're not making any margin, it's not really a successful product in the eyes of like a commercial business. You want to be looking at sell through, sell in. So sell in is if the account bought it from you. So REI, they love this bag. Yay. Your sell through is if the consumer buys it. So REI could have bought 1,000. If your customer buys five, if their customer buys five, then both you and that buyer were wrong, right? Or maybe the placement's wrong in store. So you're looking at, number of turns of that product on shelf. Maybe the marketing didn't quite hit. So could you do some A/B testing with some marketing to see if that's going to help it? Maybe it's the color was wrong, right? Maybe one color is doing well and all five of the other colors are doing really poorly. So you have a good product because one color is doing well, but you didn't quite hit it on the color. So there's a lot of different KPIs, and I really love KPIs. One, because it shows you whether you're doing a good job or not, but there's just so much information that you can take from that and feed into your next line, right? To see like what kind of changes should we make to pricing, where should it be on the shelf, how many colors do we need of it, what are the reviews saying, did everyone really like this new pocket we put on there? So I'm just like a fiend for data because I want all of my decisions to be both informed by data and then also that like gut trend, having a feel for what's going out in the market so you can see where that white space is. The marrying of those two, I think, is really important.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Katie, do you want to ask your question and let us know who you are?
Yeah, sorry, I am driving, so if there's background noise and I'm leaving my camera off because it's probably just best for everybody. But I work at Deal Optics. We're an eyewear company that makes sunglasses and goggles. My title is marketing manager for the team. So that's just a little bit about me. I did ask just a follow-up question on all the AI talk. I was just curious if there was a specific AI tool that you prefer. So I guess I'll just start there. And then I did have another question I'll ask after.
I want to preface, like, I'm probably like the worst person to be talking about AI because like I'm learning. I am just like, clickety clacking over here, trying to figure out, I'm trying to figure out what an agent is right now, guys. So, I'm by no means an expert. I haven't really explored a ton of tools. We utilize Copilot at work. I've utilized ChatGPT. I've done some stuff with like, imagery. So yeah, I'm probably not the best person to help with that. I know there's like 1 million companies out there that are pitching how their AI is going to solve these very niche products or problems. But yeah, I'm just using the same generic tools that probably all of you guys are using and just trying to figure out how to make them work well for me.
Thanks. Other question I had, and I just put this in my submission to register for this, was it's just such a competitive space and job hunting can be very difficult. And when looking at how to make yourself look the best you can, I was just curious from a hiring standpoint, when you're looking at candidates and potentially reviewing their resumes, do different certificates or potentially an MBA stand out to you? Or is it more once you dive into the conversation and understand their experience and just who they are, that kind of the weighs a little bit heavier?
Great question.
Yeah, really good question. And it's one that I have answered a lot, surprisingly, because I'm not in HR, throughout my career. And I have a few thoughts on it. One, and again, Jenna and I talked about this, like, I love a cover letter, and maybe I'm old school in that, but honestly, resumes are really easy to get lost. A lot of AI is scrubbing resumes now, right? So people are really trying to like optimize and get the keywords in there and all of that kind of stuff. But like a resume tells me nothing about why you're passionate about this, why you're an expert in this field, why I should trust you to make the best decisions about product. And that can all be covered in a cover letter. You can talk about, how you have deep experience with, I don't know, bicycles because you biked across the country one year. And so that really taught you about bike maintenance, but also like what you love and what you don't love. And if you're applying to like be the product manager of bike seats, then like awesome. That like to me is like that firsthand experience that one, it makes me understand that like you're passionate and you love the industry. And I think in the outdoor industry, that's probably more important than many other industries. And then two, that like the market, how to evaluate a product if it's good or not, how to make it better, how to find the pain points in it. So I think that a cover letter can be really, really helpful. I don't know if I am like unique in wanting a cover letter, but I always encourage people to send them along. Even if there's not a place to submit a cover letter, I use like the top part of my resume with just like a 2 or 3 sentence like overview of who I am and why I'm excited for this role. I try and cater that to the role that I'm applying to. So even if most of my resume is like set, I will try and use that spot to cater it to the job that I'm applying to or the company I'm applying to. I think like the question about MBAs, certificates, all of that, I think that's going to be really the hiring manager's personality. For me, like I have hired people that, haven't graduated college and I've hired people with PhDs. And was that ever my deciding factor? No. Do I love education? Do I think it's great if you feel like that's going to take you to the next level or is going to get you more information or more networking opportunities? Absolutely. But I would never like look at 2 identical resumes and be like, I'm only going to consider the MBA one because they have an MBA. Like, I would never do that. So I think it's great to continually learn and continually add more skills to your skill set with certificates and things like that. But I think that something like a cover letter, a little bit more information about like why you're the right person for this job, in addition to your hard skills, is really important. And then I think along with that is just like networking. I encourage people to like if you're applying to a job at a company, maybe see who's connected with who on LinkedIn and see if you can, buy them a virtual coffee with a DoorDash card and ask them for 15 minutes of their time or, you know, reach out to, I mean, I've had people reach out to me cold reach outs, right? And sometimes I have time to answer and sometimes I don't. But like, if you did that to 50 people, I'm sure that you would get someone to have a coffee with you or have a 15-minute chat with you. So yeah, I think those are some of the things that can help you stand out or at least get your name in front of people.
Great, thanks.
Thanks.
So Sholeh, just to clarify, there's no like product management certificate or like anything like that, right?
I mean, so I think like Oregon, Utah, like they now have very specific product management classes, degrees, all of that kind of stuff. There are product management certificates and very specific like courses and things like that, specifically for project management. So I think all of those are great to see, right? And if anything, it shows that you like are investing in yourself and you're investing in growing and learning more and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, true. Okay, cool. Does anyone else have a question right now? No? So while we wait for someone to maybe have one, there's some great questions in the chat about networking. And someone was like, can you network too much? What's your thought? I have a thought, and it is that you can.
Yes, you personally could network too much if you are like over it and you're just like, this is exhausting and I hate doing this. And why am I, forcing myself to do this? I think if you're feeling like that, then you're probably doing it the wrong way for yourself. I think networking is like a kind of scary, gross word sometimes. That's like, I'm going to go to a convention. I'm going to put on a sticker. I'm going to shake a lot of hands and hand everyone my business card or share my contact information with them. I really see networking as like talking to people that you genuinely enjoy, right? If you want to be in the outdoor industry and you genuinely enjoy the outdoor industry, you're probably going to like a lot of people in the outdoor industry. And so the best way to network is like go on a bike ride with someone that works in the industry. If you're able to walk the trade shows when those are a thing again, and just like ask people questions, be genuinely interested in what they have to say. Again, be curious. Like that to me is like the networking that I like to do. And I don't even really like, for me, it's just like, cool, I'm meeting a cool person that I like, and if in the future I'm like, oh, I'm really stuck on this project at work, cool, I'm going to like reach out to this person on LinkedIn and be like, hey, I know that you mentioned that you did something like this in your past. Like, I'm really stuck. Could you help me with this? And they're like, sure, here you go. And then like 2 years from now, maybe they're at a company that I'm trying to apply for a job for. And I can be like, oh, hey, so good to like chat with you. Just so you know, I applied for this job. Like, it shouldn't be a transactional. If you're doing it transactionally, I think you're doing it wrong. It should really be a way to build authentic connection with people. Because what I will not do is someone will reach out to me on LinkedIn and be like, hey, I applied for this job. Will you recommend me? And I'm like, I've never met you. I don't know who you are. That's my reputation on the line. No, I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is if I've known you for years, I've had conversations with you, I know people you've worked with that I can reach out to if I haven't worked with you. Like that's a connection and that's a network that like you can actually leverage and utilize for someone to give an authentic recommendation or help you out with like, how is it to work at this company and things like that. So you really have to look at it like a really long-term kind of, I call it breadcrumbing. Like you just put these little breadcrumbs along over potentially years. And they may lead you to something in the future that you don't even know what it's going to be.
I agree. I agree completely. And I think when I got my job at the Olympic Committee, I went to coffee with a bunch of people that were not in like the department I was trying to get at. And I was just like, can you tell me about your experience? I don't want
Yep.
anything big from you. Just like tell me what you think about working there. And they were really happy to, first of all. And then when I applied for that role, in my cover letter, I said, I really enjoyed talking to this person, this person, this person. So all of a sudden, I wasn't saying that they recommended me or anything. I got so much credibility and authority just by mentioning them in the appropriate, truthful way. And then when the person that hired me went to those people and was like, this person says they know you, they were like, oh yeah, she's great. Like we had a really good conversation. So it benefited me tremendously.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
it's
those were your
all great.
breadcrumbs, right?
Those are my
You put
breadcrumbs.
them in your
Yeah.
cover letter. I love
Yeah.
it.
And it wasn't meant to be that way. It was more meant
No.
to like, I want to vet this company. I can take my skills anywhere. I'm going to be spending most of my time in my day giving my skills and my time to some company. I want to know that I'm going to have a good time. So I approached my job
Yep.
search in that way. And yeah, so it was for me, but then it benefited me tremendously on the other side as well.
Love that. That's a great story.
Thank you. Breaking into the outdoor industry as well. So if somebody is not here yet, they're skilled, they've got a good resume, but they don't have any outdoor industry bullets. I guess my questions are first, like, do you look at a candidate like that differently? And how would they overcome it if it even is something to overcome?
I definitely would say, like, again, I've hired people that have not had outdoor product experience because there's so many adjacent, I've hired people that come from like fashion apparel industries into outdoor. I've hired people that have come from, I work on medical devices, but I'm an industrial designer and I really would love to apply that to making tent poles, like that would never be like a disqualifying factor. I think a way that you can stand out though is again, like, how do you link this back to why you want to be in the outdoor industry, right? A lot of us want to be in the outdoor industry. It's a cool, fun space to be in. But like, show me through like, hey, again, I want to apply for this bike seat PM role. I know this intently. I love this product. Here's an example of why I love this product or how I love this product, how I'm a core user. It's hard because like I don't want to say you have to be a outdoor enthusiast to be in the outdoor industry. And by no means do you need to be like a hardcore outdoor enthusiast to at all be in this industry. Like literally walking around, like we're all wearing shoes, right? We all know how to like what we like and don't like in our shoes, and that can apply to working at a footwear company. But that goes back to like your passion, right? If you're passionate for it, that means you're going to spend your weekend researching it, or it's going to mean you're going to spend your weekend testing out new products or going into REI because you're going in there anyways, because that's where you love to shop. Those are the kinds of things that I think can help set someone apart to break into the outdoor industry. Is like, have I only made medical devices? Yes. Have I spent, 1,500 miles on a bike? Yes. And so like, that's where you can bridge that gap to say, I know how to make really great product. I also know what really great product is like in your industry. And this is how I would marry those two things together.
Yes. So I want to like really, really showcase one piece of that because I read a lot of resumes and cover letters. And many people will waste the first introductory part of a cover letter by being like, I love the outdoors. I grew up outside. I just love it. And I'm like, that's really cool. But you're not connecting the dots for me.
Yes.
So you mentioned like I'm an industrial engineer and I go camping a lot. So I'm intently aware of like how this would apply to tent poles or how this would apply to biking, like how you have to actually connect those dots and say, I understand the codes and the cues of this customer or this item. I'm intimately familiar with it. Here is
Yes.
how I would use my skill to design or improve or whatever it is. Not just like I love the outdoors. Because
100%.
we know, and I'm really glad to hear that. And I'm also really glad to hear like why you want to work for Basecamp. But it can't just be that you want to work for Basecamp. It has to be, I have these skills and I care a lot about Basecamp because X research that you've done, and I can enrich your company this way. How are you going to save me time, make my life easier, or make me money? Put that
Yes.
in your cover letter. That's who I'm hiring.
Connect the dots for me so that I don't have to think through that when I'm going through your resume of like, how are your skills and your passions uniquely eligible for this role to make it? Because like if I'm hiring you and I'm going to be your manager, like, cool, you mean I don't have to teach you about the market? I don't need to teach you about what stores to go into. I don't have to teach you about the construction techniques of this. I'm happy to teach you certain parts of it, but like connect the dots for me of like where you're just going to be able to run on day one.
Oh, yeah, that part too. Because I entry level folks are great and there's opportunities and I love hiring entry level folks and interns. But
Same.
let me know that like you're going to just do the job so that I don't have to do the job too. I don't want to
Exactly.
spend 6 months training you probably. That's probably
Yep.
not why I'm hiring. That's not my need right now is to be like, how can I how can
Yeah.
I like spend more time not doing this
Yes.
that I need to do, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I love that. Or how do you manage up as well? Like, hey, I've been doing this for a long time and I am able to help my boss do XYZ. I love a manager upper.
Me too.
Um, the first opportunity for your product role, you told me about this a little bit too. Your first product role was at the North Face, right?
My first product role was actually at the small startup that I was at. It was
Small
called
startup,
Halaska.
right? So who gave
Um,
you that first North Face opportunity?
how
Because
did I get
that's a
it? Is that what
big,
you said?
yeah, like who, that's a big jump. Like that's one of those big brands.
Yes, I know. I honestly to this day don't. Someone took a chance on me on that interview panel, and I don't really know who it was. But it was like I prepared, I did my research. I went to the North Face store. I, had my point of view of like what I could bring from this small little niche bag brand into this like big behemoth of a bag brand. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know who was I. I just was like, I didn't have a flashy brand on my resume yet. I think it was like I talked about how um, I grew up in the outdoors. I have a deep understanding from a consumer perspective of like what makes a product great, what doesn't make a product great, what pain points are. I talked a lot about consumer insights and how I like to approach that. Even though I'd done it like rinky dink little things at my previous company, but you can like I still did it right, and I still got information, and I still applied that information just because I was applying it to an item that sold 50 units and they're selling 50,000 units. It's still a lot of the same information. So yeah, I don't know. I should probably reach out to some of those people and ask them
Yeah,
why.
I think that would be a fun exercise, but
Yeah.
also I love your answer because it means like if many people don't have a contact at the North
Oh,
Face or these big brands,
no, I
and
didn't
so
know anyone in the
yeah.
industry. I didn't know anyone at that company. It literally was like I clicked apply on the website and,
Well,
yeah,
you did the work too. Like you just
I'd say
explained, like
yes,
you went into the stores and you did
yes,
all of that research and you
yes,
connected the dots for people and you grew the experience, even though you didn't know you were growing that experience necessarily.
exactly.
Um, yeah, that's also another thing is like, what was that? How did you find out it was a product manager that you were doing like all of these skills? Did you just like see a job description and were like, oh, that's me?
Yeah, I
Okay.
was just always on their website because I grew up in the Bay Area and North Face was like the holy grail of like outdoor in the Bay Area. Oh my God, this would be so cool to work at. So I was just always scanning their websites to see what was available. And I think bags, it was probably what made me click on it. I was like, well, I make bags, so let's do
Okay.
that. And then I started reading the job description. I was like, oh my God, oh, is this what I've been doing this whole time? I didn't even realize it was a job and this is the title of it. So yeah, it was a very illuminating moment. I was also like, I wish they taught you this in college, like what the job names are and what like the skills are
No,
for them, because
there's
yeah,
not a standardized way to explain jobs. And that's
no,
actually one of the biggest reasons I tell people to get our newsletter. If you're
yeah,
looking for a job or if you don't even know what job you want, click on every single job description.
yep,
I find a job that I didn't know exist every single week. And all I do is look at jobs every
yeah,
single week. And it's really, really illuminating. And I tell people to do this little exercise, which is like get a spreadsheet out, look at a bunch of job descriptions. And when a requirement like lights you up, put it down in this like column of like this give me joy. Like I can see myself doing that. And then when you
yep,
see a requirement, when you're like, I could do that, no problem, put that in like a no problem column and write down the title of the job beside it. And then if you do that enough, you might start to see patterns and be like, oh wow, like I actually should be doing this sustainability job or something like that. Like there might be titles and patterns that you wouldn't have recognized otherwise. But yes,
100%.
like open almost every job description. I found one the other day that was with Nike, and this person, it was such a dumb title. This person worked with the NFL athletes, the NBA athletes, like all of the pro sports athletes directly and made sure that they were wearing Nike clothing that they liked the most. And like,
Yep, that's a
this is
job.
like a crazy dream
Yeah.
job for some people, celebrities. And it was called like in a list of merchandise or something really, really bizarre. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and the names of jobs are so different at so many companies. I've been a
Every single
product
one.
manager, I've been a category manager, I've been a product merchandiser, I've been a category merchandiser. I have a friend who works in tech and she was like explaining her job. She's a product marketer. And I was like, oh, so much of your job is what I do for my job, but I'm a product manager and I have a product marketing partner. So, anyways, like it's different all over the place. It's really hard to like search by like just like the name of the
Yeah,
role. So yeah, I agree, read through those job descriptions, see what they're all about. Cause also like, yeah, I didn't even know product management was a job. So there's probably a job out there that you're just like, oh, that's a job. And actually I would be really good at it. But you might not know the title of it.
exactly. All right, last call, everyone. If someone wants to raise their hand quickly, I'm going to give you like 20 seconds to do that. If not, Corey, is that you?
Yeah, one quick last one. I feel like whenever I network and then we all ask questions, it's always like, what got you to this point or what is this? And that's always somewhat general and somewhat kind of hard to enact. But on the flip side of that, is there anything that you've done in your career you feel didn't actually benefit you much, like you've wasted time
Ooh,
on? And so
Good
it
one.
just to
got it.
relate, like I feel like I'm a victim of always trying to learn more. And I know the curiosity aspect is good, but it's like if you can't apply something you're learning, or am I just
Mhm.
learning in vain, right? In my head, am I better
Yeah,
for it?
that's a really interesting flip of that. Okay, this I was just gonna say what's in my brain, and like I don't know if I fully believe it or not yet, but like maybe jumping companies, I would have done a little less. Um, and again, I'm not gonna like, I think there's pros and cons to stepping into new, like, I uprooted my entire life, left North Face, went to Under Armour, didn't know anyone in Baltimore, had never been before, and like greatest thing ever for my personal life. Then I uprooted again and came to Colorado. And then I think since I've been here, I've been at 3 different companies. And, I'm at them for like 4 or 5 years. Like this isn't like 1 year and done. But I have a need for, I'm very curious. I want to learn. I want to absorb as much information as possible. And I think now that I'm older and wiser, I think that like there's a lot of benefit to like sitting in a space and like learning as much as you can there, exploring the ebbs and flow. I mean, every company is different every single year you're at it. So like there's so much to learn. There's so many different departments. So yeah, maybe that would be like, in reflecting back on like where I'm at in my career, I'm very happy with where I'm at. But like, where would I have gone if I had stayed at North Face instead of moving to Under Armour? Where would I be today if I had, I don't know, moved to Under Armour Europe? Where would I be if, so like, I think that not that I regret any of the decisions that I made, but like it would have definitely led me on a very different path that I probably would be as equally excited about. And I think I have spent a lot of time chasing like, okay, well, what's going to be the next step and what's going to make me most excited? And like, you got to walk away from a lot of other things to chase those. So yeah, that's pretty deep. I haven't really, reconciled that with myself, but that might be my answer to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a really good question.
I'm gonna ask people that question now.
I know.
I'm gonna like give it to them so they can think about it first, though.
Yes,
Cool.
I know. I want to like see where I come up like
Like,
my middle of the night
yeah,
answer.
yeah, yeah. Water the grass where you are is kind of what I heard.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
If you come up with a new answer, I'll be at REI flagship in Denver. You can come find me.
Perfect. I'll pop in and let you know what kept me up in the middle of the night of like, oh wait, no, I should have said that one class that I took that was stupid.
Katie, do you have something to add?
Hi, yes, sorry, I was on mute and forgot. First of all, I just want to say great question. That was really interesting. And I've struggled with wondering if, moving companies is a good decision or not. So just wanted to say that. Thank you for your thoughts on that. I was just curious, are you going to be at the Basecamp networking event at Outside Days?
She is, but I forgot to ask her, but I penciled her in.
I figured as much. Yes, I would love to. Let me look at the dates. I mean, I love these kinds of events. I love meeting all of you. I love talking shop. I love this industry. Clearly I'm very passionate about what I do. And I want other people that want to be in the industry and want to find their way into it, because I do think can be transformative for the right people. It can be really energizing, really exciting. We get to do a lot of really great work from a sustainability perspective, getting people into the outdoors. Like it's a pretty cool, unique industry. So I love to get more people into it that want to be here.
And there will be 2 product managers, because Jessica Paul from the North Face will also be joining.
I know Jessica.
The expert. And many, many other people and brands will be coming to that May 29th in Denver if folks are around. We also have an event in Portland on April 16th, and then in Minneapolis, August 19th and 20th. So if you're in those markets, they're free to attend, and they're very, very helpful for job seekers, I would say, to get that face time. And then if you are wanting more of Sholeh, as I'm sure everyone is, she's part of our career collective. So if you go to wearetheoutdoorindustry.com, you'll find the career collective there. You can book time with Sholeh. Sholeh, is there anywhere else that you want to direct people to finding you?
I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, so add me, but like send me a little bit about who you are before you just blindly add me, because talking about breadcrumbs, then I'll know who you are. Then I'll remember you if I ever search your name in the future. If someone asks like, hey, so-and-so applied for this and you seem connected, I'll have a memory of who you are and why we're connected. I'm off social media right now, so don't find me any of those places because I won't be there for this year. But yeah, Career Collective, LinkedIn, always happy to chat.
Amazing. Okay. And in 1 week, we have Nike recruiter Ryan on these sessions. And then a week after that, we have the comms and PR head from Patagonia, Jin. And they're both very cool people. So please join us again if you'd like.
That sounds fun. I'm going to join.
You should. Okay, great. This was wonderful, Sholeh. Thank you for being our inaugural guest. And
My pleasure, my honor. Thank you everyone for all your great questions and for just listening to me. Hopefully I was able to give you a little something that was worth your hour at the end of a long workday. So thanks everyone for having me.
all right. Bye,
Thanks so
y'all.
much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Hi, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
You.